An aircraft with no wings and the other one with no tail. Believe it or not, they were crazy with their designs back in the day. In today's video, we'll discover 10 of the weirdest aircraft designs you'll ever see. Number 10. XF-85 Goblin. The Parasite was the nickname given to the XF-85 Goblin, which is an aircraft developed by McDonnell Douglas. A very tiny aircraft lesser than 15 feet had a 21-foot wingspan and carries up to 450 machine guns. It was manufactured to protect B-36 bombers. The main task of this aircraft was to act as a defense fighter for the biggest aircraft when they passed through the enemy territory. The biggest aircraft was not capable to defend themselves, so the idea was for this aircraft to carry its defense. The parent, which is the B-36, will carry the Goblin by a trapeze. If the B-36 got attacked during the mission, the Goblin will be released. When the enemy goes away, the Parasite will be reattached to the parent. The advantage of the Goblin was that it's very tiny, maneuverable, and a very fast aircraft. It was capable to prevent the enemy from attacking the bombs, too. Number 9. The Dornier AERODYNE. Have you ever imagined an aircraft with no wings? Dornier made it possible with its unique creation. Lippisch, the manufacturer of this aircraft, was an engineer who clearly liked to try new different designs. He even created the one-of-a-kind ME-163 Comet, the first and only world's rocket-powered engine. Some people refer to it as the wingless uncrewed plane. The Dornier AERODYNE was a huge jet engine, which was made of metal in a cylindrical shape with a tail. The tail of the aircraft was made in a way that it can control the direction of the plane. Number 8. The BLOHM VOSS BV-141. When we speak about normal aircraft, we usually think of a symmetrical plane having 2 wings and a tail, but BV broke this rule. It indeed had a crew gondola attached to the aircraft wing, giving it the unusual asymmetrical look. BV, a German aircraft, was built during the World War II. The crew of 3, the observer, the gunner, and the pilot, was completely separated from the fuselage of the plane. The so-called fuselage was located on the left, which carried the engine, and the right was where the crew stayed. During the testings, it was shown that the aircraft was flying good for its strange design. However, after the war ended, all of the BVs were abandoned. Number 7. The BARTINI BERIEV VVA-14. The BARTINI BERIEV VVA-14 aircraft was developed during the 1970s by the Soviet Union. It was an aircraft that looked like it came out of a scientific fiction movie. This plane was designed by Robert Bartini, and only 2 were ever built. It was a very fast aircraft, but its main advantage was that its low wings design gave it the ability to take off from water. It had a lot of missions where it had to hunt over water to search for enemies. After the death of its designer in the 1980s, they canceled the project, and the VVA-14 now is in the Soviet Central Air Force Museum. Number 6. VOUGHT XF-5U. Nicknamed the Flying Pancake or Flying Flapjack, was an aircraft that was manufactured in the late 1930s. The Pancake was powered by 2 Pratt & Whitney WR-2000 engines, which were buried in the body of the aircraft. The unique flat body design helped in being the main source of the plane taking off from the ground and not the wings. This was achieved by maintaining the airflow over the entire plane. It was also believed to land in low speeds and perform great in speeds, too. The aircraft could reach around 453 miles per hour and armed with machine guns. However, 2 of this aircraft were ever built. Number 5. The LEDUC 0.21. Another aircraft that looks strange is the LEDUC 0.21. It was an aircraft that was manufactured by the French in the 1950s. The main task of it was to research and test the practicalities of the ramjet technology. It was a very fast aircraft that reached around 260 kilometers an hour and was able to have a 14,300 thrust. The development of this aircraft was an advanced version of its parent, the LEDUC 1, but it was a bit larger. This aircraft didn't have the power to take off by itself, so it was carried by another plane and released in the sky. Number 4. The BLERIOT 125. The BLERIOT 125 aircraft was made solely of wood. It was able to reach to the speed of 220 kilometers an hour. The idea behind this aircraft was to provide a very luxury and comfy flight to passengers. The design of this aircraft was out of this world. It had 2 huge pontoons, which were connected to the wings, and in the center between the 2 pontoons was the crew compartment. Each of those pontoons would carry 6 passengers. It had multiple bathrooms as well as baggage compartments. Only 1 pontoon was ever built. Number 3. WESTLAND PTERODACTYL IV. This aircraft is the strangest of all time, an aircraft with no tail. The pterodactyl was the name given to the experiments made for the tailless aircraft, which were developed by Hill Pterodactyl. It was a 2-seater fighter, which was powered by the huge Rolls-Royce Goshawk engine. This WESTLAND IV was designed to never lose its altitude with its differently shaped wings, even with inexperienced pilots when stalling. Number 2. The SAAB-21. The SAAB-21 was a single-seat aircraft which had a twin fuselage and a pusher engine. It had its first flight during the 1940s and was developed when Sweden was being drawn into World War II. At that time, ejector seats was not a normal thing, but SAAB had an ejector seat in case the pilot needed to bail out. This plane served for 10 years. Number 1. The Edgeley Optica. The Optica was a British aircraft developed by John Edgeley and flew in the 1970s. This aircraft was produced to be a cheaper alternative to helicopters and go on low-speed observation missions. It could reach to speeds of 130 kilometers an hour. Over 20 of this aircraft were ever built, but the production facility was deliberately set on fire, and 10 of them were destroyed. Years after the fire, Optica was back to its creator, who was seeking to bring it back into production. This is the end of today's video. Which of these planes should be manufactured and used again in your opinion? Share with us in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn the post notifications on to receive the latest from us. See you in the next one.